Now, next we will move to a very well-known poet and a literary critic. Ladies and gentlemen, sir, pardon me if I am not pronouncing your name properly. I want to listen from you, your name properly. Then I can understand and I can read it out properly. The name is Darbhasayanam Srinivasacharya, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hand together for the eminent poet and critic. He's a postgraduate degree in agriculture. Is it, sir? Yeah. Agriculture বুঝতেই তো পাচ্ছেন মাটির মানুষ and প্রকৃতির সঙ্গে জুড়ে রয়েছেন. What I say, sir, you are very close to the nature. As you are from agriculture, that means you are very close to the nature. Then obviously you have some flavor of the nature in your writing. We will listen to you right now. It's my pleasure to call you in the dais. Sir, now it's your time.
Respected poets on the dais, organizers of one organization, and respected writers, poets, literary lovers, and the citizens of this great state, Tripura. At the outset, I profusely thank the organizers for having invited me to this prestigious literary festival being held here. When I first heard that I was being invited to this meet, I was enthralled, I was excited, because I have always have fascination for this Northeast, for it is known for its natural beauty. And I had the opportunity of working in West Bengal for some time, in 1984. At that time, I wanted to visit these states, but I couldn't. But now I got this opportunity. Earlier, I visited Guwahati, I visited Aizawl as part of my journeys for literary seminars and discourses. Today, I could visit this wonderful land, Tripura. Thank you very much. And as regards my poetry, as my friend has pronounced my name properly, that is a Darbhasayanam. Darbhasayanam, you can see that relevance in Ramayana. There is a place in Tamil Nadu, Darbhasayanam, and my name is Srinivasacharya. So I come from Telangana state, one of the youngest states in India, and I was born and brought up in village environment. I had the opportunity of graduating in agriculture, and I had my master's in agricultural economics. I started writing poetry at the age of 13, and in the last 40 years, I could produce 18 books, 15 books of poetry, 1 book of literary criticism, and 3 books for children. So with this background, today I have this pleasure of reciting my poems. But before I say so, I believe that poetry is one medium which has been there for centuries, that can influence the human civilizations, that can save man and mankind from isolation and desolation. That's one poetry. Poetry is that medium that can provide aesthetics to give fulfillment to life. And poetry is that medium which can save from all the evils in the form of intolerance, evils in the form of suppression and depression, evils in the form of discrimination, evils in the form of separation. And in the present context of human civilization across the world, I think poetry does a good job in putting the people together, and it can teach you how sensibly you can live, and it can tell us how we can move together. As we were hearing our astronaut this morning, this is the time we should have the elements of empathy, elements of cooperation, element of absence of confrontation, conflicts. It's not that we don't have conflicts, but conflict resolution is that something we require. I think poetry does that job. With that strong belief in poetry, I have been following this art form for the last 5 decades, and this is form which has brought me here. I thank to my earlier poets, the poets for the last so many centuries who have given this legacy to us. So I'm very glad that I am reciting my poetry to the poetry lovers of this great state, Tripura. And let me start my poem in Telugu. One poem, a short poem, I will render in Telugu so that you can hear the sound of our language. This is one of the Dravidian languages, and this literature dates back to 10th century. Our Telugu literature dates back to 10th century. We have rich literature, and I'm very happy I'm representing my great language. And that's where also I have written my state's name, Telangana. Yesterday when I was asked to write one Telugu word, I have put my state name Telangana, which we love most. But fortunately, Telangana starts with the letter T, and Tripura also starts with T. That's identical. I'm happy about that. So when I went to one of the conferences, one of the poets asked me, how long do you write poems on agriculture? I wrote huge number of literature on agriculture. So one of my friends asked me, how long do you write poetry on agriculture? Then I responded with a poem. I recite that poem as the first one in this conference. The first I will give the Telugu rendition, then English. ఎన్నాళ్ళు రాస్తారయ్యా పొలాల మీద కవిత్వం, ఎన్నాళ్ళు రాస్తారయ్యా పొలాల మీద కవిత్వం, నేలను రైతన్న దున్నినంతకాలం, నేలను రైతన్న దున్నినంతకాలం, మెతుకు మీద మనిషి బతికినంతకాలం. This is the sounding of our Telugu language, and let me give it English, my translation. I write both in English and Telugu, my poet. I'm a bilingual poet. So I'll give the English rendition. The title of the poem is Cultivation. How long do you continue to write poems on farmlands? How long do you continue to write poems on farmlands? So long as the farmer continues to till the land, and so long the man survives on food grain. It's a poem. Then my second poem is about trust, which is badly, essentially required in all times, and particularly the current times. So I'll write my poem entitled Trust. All of a sudden, some trees may turn into stones. Some rivers may dry up to deserts. Yet, I cannot say that every tree turns into a stone and every river into a desert. After all, I survived under the shades of trees and the grace of rivers. I watched many changing their face overnight, yet my nature remains unaltered, and so is my soul. The ones who shook hands may quit heartlessly, and the beneficiary of my smiles may put up the face of a stranger. Those who bade goodbye, taking my benevolence, may not return to this shore at all. Yet, I never suspect the friendly hands and hearty smiles. Some people may turn barbarous and set the greenery on fire. I don't get surprised at all. I embrace faith to turn myself into a tree wherever I stand and into a river wherever I move. My next poem is about a particular incident where my daughter has presented me a watch when she got a job. And unfortunately, I lost that watch in 2 to 3 days. And that prompted me to write a poem. And the title of the poem is Time of Pain. A few days back, my daughter presented me a fast-track watch, either for my present watch having been worn out or to to help me record the life of my time on time. Now my hand wears a new look. Along with the correct time, the new watch would show my daughter's love. It's not a mere object, but a mark of connection between the two. And in that delight, how the time passed, I wasn't aware. But the joy didn't last long. Perhaps my time was bad. Yesterday, at dawn, it slipped out of my wrist, somewhere, whether the temple or on the road. With its loss, the hand now lost its glass, an emptiness of losing the rhythm of time. Did anybody chance upon it? Or was it lying somewhere like an orphan? But how can it be an orphan when it is kin of time? Perchance, if I look at my wrist for time, I am reminded of the loss and my daughter's affection. Time freezes instantly in grief for some time. It's okay if one loses some time, but to lose an endearing gift, it would be heartbreaking. The pain endures till the time itself heals. There is another poem with a question and an answer. The question goes like this. O sculptor, when the stones are scattered unevenly, why do you remain languid, laying aside your chisel? O sculptor, when the stones are scattered unevenly, why do you remain languid, laying aside your chisel? The answer runs like this. When man has turned into a stone, whom should I delight with my sculpture? This poem is about a deserted house. When I was passing on a highway, I could find a lonely house, a very dilapidated house. I stopped there and I could see that it was left long back, but I could see the reminiscences, the certain objects broken and everything. It prompted me to write this poem. And this is a deserted house. We also often see some of the houses left abandoned, but sometimes the house must have been very flourishing with a lot of people and celebrations. Why does it become so dilapidated? That's my worry. So that prompted me to write this poem, Deserted House. Along my journey, I find trees, rivers, gardens, croplands, and the versatile structures built with dexterity. Here is a house, a dilapidated one, by the roadside, lying like a solitary island, with walls cracked and half yielding, roof half wide open to the sky and some bricks coming off, windows and doors conspicuously missing, in a state of complete disorder, like a sick oldie confined to a bed. There is nobody around, no sound is to be heard. Once bustling with people, this house now, a deserted one, is mute and lifeless. I see one or two scribblings on the faded walls, half decipherable, half impossible, obscured by time. How can I make out what dreams it wanted to convey? Beside the house, there is a well, must once be a treasure of water, now dried up, looking like a dark vertical tunnel. Where did those springs disappear? Covered with weeds and foliage, The limits of front yard are distinct now. The limits of front yard are indistinct now, and under the umbrage, the traditional patterns of floor decked are no longer to be seen. At one corner lies a broken, dusty mirror. To what unknown shores, to what mirrors did the inmates of the house migrate, who once dressed themselves up in front of it? Standing near this dilapidated dwelling, how can I visualize the grandeur of its past or capture the minds of its once inmates? This is the house which sheltered man. This is the house which sheltered man. How can it go neglected? Nobody but the man himself is answerable. Then I'll render my last poem. Largely, I wrote poems on farming and agriculture. Basically, I am from a rural village. I had my education in agriculture. That prompted me to write more poems on farming and agriculture. Rather, I am an argumentarian for farmers and farming. The poem is Alienation. In the country that has excluded villages and croplands, I feel alienated. I don't own the seed, water, or manure. The land in my field only if I mortgage myself. I am excluded in fixing the buying price and in the selling price. In the prices fixed by the middleman, I am alien to my own grain. While famine holds the villages in its vicious grip, farmlands are changed to house sites. I am estranged from my own soil. Cities and towns might roar full-throated, but if I clamor for justice, it is branded as a sedition. Indisputably, the country lives only when lands full of crops bless it. Embracing the newfangled technology, the country banishes fields yielding crop. In the new language, I'm a worn-out word. I was once called a farmer. Thank you very much.